And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called Danger the Game. Danger, Will Robinson! This is a storytelling party game of bizarre dangers and rescues. You might say, is this a new game? Yes, it is. Is it a different game than things that have come out before? Well, not quite. This storytelling games where you play cards and try to tell a story about that card, there's quite a few of those out there. But let's take a look at this one. There are 4 decks of cards included with this game: Danger, Tool, Skill, and Plot Twist. Everyone is going to get 3 cards from the tools and 3 cards with the skills, and if you're playing with Plot Twist, you'll draw 1 card from there. One person's going to go first. They're going to turn over Danger, and they are being burned at the stake for being a witch, or perhaps they have merged their tricycle onto the highway, or perhaps that candle you lit was actually a bomb. Each player then, other player, is going to pick one of the various tools: an infinite staple gun, a reusable sauce packet that creates any sauce imaginable, a bag of various pet toys, or a skill. I know every trick in the book, even the magic ones. Know the exact distance between 2 objects, even the metaphysical ones, or can throw your voice. And so, how do you work? So here, being burned at the stake for being a witch, I might play Can Throw Your Voice, and I might say, this is an angel, this is not a witch. You know, have that come from the sky or something. The candle I lit was actually a bomb. Let me see. An infinite staple gun. I'll shoot staples at it until it goes to the wall, and then I'll be able to get away from it. I don't know. Everyone will tell a story. Other people can pick plot holes in those, and in fact, you can even play a plot twist on someone else. So they might have, you know, a reusable sauce packet that creates any sauce imaginable, but it causes an intense allergic reaction. So you can play those on other people. Everyone's going to give their story. Then the person who's the victim, the person who drew the card, is going to essentially say, hey, you know, this is the one I think wins, and give them the card. And so you're trying to get the most of these cards to win. Once the first person to get 3 danger cards is the winner. And that's pretty much how you play. Let's take a quick look here at some of these. You might be trapped in Amazon's warehouse. That actually sounds like a fun thing. The enemy of your enemy is no longer your friend. While breaking into someone's house, you hear a voice saying, a pitiable fool. Must face the sum of all fears. Harrison Ford. Facing off against an emotion wizard. Cursed with continual paper cuts after angering the local paper boy. Different examples of tools might be a training video, which lets you draw 2 skills: a magic bean, the world's hottest pepper, a roll of duct tape, a pair of moon shoes, a spoon. And then the skills are going to be personal friends with the president, master of disguise, control the climate directly around you, leap short buildings in a single bound, train to be the most powerful emotion wizard, they must like emotion wizards, and perform jazz hands with your feet. And then the plot twists will be things like, that's incredible heavy, but you're not deemed worthy enough to use it yet. And an alien invasion has just begun, covered in literal fire ants, but you're bound to your current spot whenever you see the victim. Things like that. The game comes with a bunch of blank cards in case you want to think up your own things. You can make your own scenarios and such. It's following that whole thing nowadays. It's kind of weird to me how everyone feels like all these games have to look the exact same, where they have a little text at the top, and then they have a few clip art type things here at the bottom, but only on the danger cards. The tool cards, no matter what you have, it's the same thing. It's just a toolbox at the bottom. And they said, you know, you can interpret these any way you want to. A license for any vehicle, a sentient rope, you can decide what you want these to be. But at the end of the day, I don't know, these cards themselves are pretty bad quality. They're not very good at all. And they look pretty bland, which again is kind of the MO for party games along these lines. But why? Why are we trying to copy other party games? Even the box itself is just not that interesting looking. But yeah, so components, not overly impressed by them. This game's made from a company called Origami Save the Whale, or Origami Whale, and it comes with a little thing and it shows you how you can turn this into a whale. And then, of course, so there's some good behind them making this game. At the same time, there's not a lot of good in the game. As I was showing you with the components, extremely derivative, whether the game is Super Fight or other games where they have a card with a little bit of text at the top. It's like, come on. Why? It feels like the lowest amount of effort went into, a bunch of people sat around a room and put together some ideas and put them in there. And I can't really recommend any game that does that. I know Cards Against Humanity is the #1 one. This one is, I'd like to be clear, this one does not go down that route. This is a family-friendly game, at least as far as I'm sure you could probably twist some of the things to not be that way, but this is a game you could play with your family. So there's that, but it still looks like it. All these games look the same. Why does this one look like the rest? And at the same time, it's the same as the rest. I think in my lifetime I played 5 or 6 of these games where there's some situation and you play cards to get out of that situation. That just doesn't feel like it's creativity. It's asking someone else to be creative. I want the game designer to be creative and allow me to play in a sandbox instead of giving me some nails and hammers and say, build your own sandbox. And I feel like that's what this is. It's just another one of these storytelling games. And I cannot promote these really. Not to mention, some cards are just more fun than others. You can sit there and if there's a really creative person at the table who can tell great stories, they'll win. But then at the same time, the game says the first person to get 3 cards wins. So Susan might tell the most wonderful story in the world, but she has 2 cards, so I'm not going to give it to her. And the game doesn't really kind of say you can't do that. So just a lot of problems with this. It feels like a game that maybe some kids in a high school would put together and you'd be like, oh, that's an interesting idea, but it's nothing that I would buy. Again, there's a lot of games out there already. Probably Super Fight is one of the most common of them. Or even Apples to Apples. But Apples to Apples, you don't need to tell a story. This one is that creative telling a story. But seen there, done that. And then I would be able to give this one more credit if the cards had interesting pictures on them or just looked different. But even the categories I just didn't find to be that interesting. The danger cards here, the dogs that bite at their time and are now man's worst enemy, shoved into the armpit of a giant. A dog whisperer thinks you're an untrained dog. Inside a plane full of crying babies in a 12-hour flight. They're okay. Trapped in the friend zone. I don't know. I know that there's always the thing where people say, Tom, you're getting jaded. And I am getting jaded, but I still really like party games. And I still want to have a fun time doing them. I just want to see something that feels somewhat different. And this one feels like I played it 5 years ago, and 10 years ago, and 15 years ago. I want something new. Dice Tower Judgment is just too derivative.